Today, my guest is Dr. Nivedita Srivastava. Nivedita Srivastava is basically the CEO and the founder of Nine Links. And Nine Links is basically a consulting firm that works in the area of organizational development and behavioral assessment through online psychometric tests. So, the first question which will go to you, Dr. Srivastava, is that what is this psychometric test and how it is beneficial to students?
So I'll start with a very layman example, right?
Hmm.
So if you have to, so let's say if I meet somebody, right? I'm meeting somebody for the first time. So obviously, like all humans, we would make, or our own assumptions about the other person, right? About his behavior, about his personality, or about his mannerisms or whatsoever, right? Or even about his intelligence for that matter. So, but frankly, those are just our assumptions about somebody else, right? They might be correct, they might not be correct, right? So these are all our assumptions, or our assessment of somebody else based on our own experiences. So for example, if I like somebody who is very fluent with English, so I would consider him smart, right? But
Okay.
let's say if, yeah, so these are my, because just because he's and again, it's not necessary that if he's not in good in English, then he's not smart or he's not intelligent, right? So these are our assumptions of anybody based on our own experiences and our own preferences, right? Which, as I
Okay.
said, might be correct or might not be correct. So this is where a psychometric test helps in terms of understanding a person, or understanding somebody else without any biases or without any subjective experiences, right? So so that is the benefit of a psychometric assessment. Again, as I was just mentioning, I'll just take that example again of speaking English and being smart, right? So then again, this is a very common phenomena which I'm sure everybody would have heard about, is called halo effect, right? So a halo
Okay.
effect is something which kind of puts your impression just on the basis of one impression, right? For example, as I just said, that if somebody speaks in English, then he's smart, then he's intelligent. So I am basically assuming that this person who speaks English is supposed to be that, but in reality, English might not even be his priority. Or so maybe he's smart, he's intelligent, but just because of certain issues, he doesn't prefer speaking English, right? So that does not. So again, psychometric assessment helps in assessment of people without any subjective biases, without our own personal assumptions. So that is the whole thing about psychometric assessments. And needless to say, it's a very scientific tool. So often, if we go back to my psychology classes, right,
Yeah.
we often would question whether psychology is an art or is it a science. So,
It's a
but then
science.
again, yeah, it's a
It's a
science.
science. It's a
It's
science.
a
I
science.
have absolutely no doubt about it.
Because anyway, if there are numbers involved, then obviously it's scientific. But if there's, for example, painting, you can't call it science because it's an art, right? There are no numbers involved in it, right? So similar, but on the other hand, psychology has numbers. We use statistics, we use data analysis to understand people. So again, it's a scientific way of understanding a person. Now this the understanding something could be anything, not necessarily just personality. So maybe during the rest half of the discussion, we could discuss that.
Okay, okay. So, what kind of services do you offer to, say, these budding people? Because, as I understand, that there is a difference between research and academics and, say, industry. And usually, even the sharpest students or pass outs face the same problem, that they are very good at academics, but they do not have that employability skills or so on. So,
Right.
you people come basically at that place to help those kind of students or those kind of passing out students to hone their skills so that they become more, say, acceptable to the industries. So, what are those things which you people offer, and how students get benefited by them?
Sure, sure. So this is a very lovely example that that you've stated, that despite being very good on grades, but somehow they are not able to crack a job interview, or they are not able to perform well at the job. So that is where I think the world is talking about the importance of employability skills, or the softer skills of any of any employee for that matter. right? So that's where we come in, wherein through the use of psychometric tests, an institute or a student himself or herself could understand what are the areas of development, right? So this could be anything. For example, how good are you at negotiation, right? Or how good are you at customer orientation? Are you able to manage your stress properly, which again becomes very important for any job role, right? Whether it is whether it is for an engineering role or whether it is for a management role. So again, there are certain factors such as stress, flexibility, which become important across all job roles. So that is where a psychometric test can help in evaluation of where do you stand on on these skills such as adaptability or stress management or communication skills, even team management for that matter. And then this self evaluation can help in understanding where do you stand, right? And how do you develop yourself from there. So for example, if you're really good on it, then obviously it's something that you just need to keep up to, right? You have to maintain that so that whatever you're doing, that is maintained, right? But let's say if you are average or below average on a particular skill, so obviously there have to be certain developmental initiatives, which is what the organization also offers in terms of developing the employability skills of students. And this could be monitored and tracked over a longer period of time, and that's where it could benefit the students.
Okay. So, tell me one thing more, Dr. Srivastava, that like there are two types of students for me. Students who are in the second or third year who are trying to get some, say, internship or some kind of training in at a certain place, and there are students who are passing out or just passed out and they are looking for a job. I guess so. Your, I will say, programs or your these chunks of the helps which you are providing. And because since as I was going through your website, I could see that you have Maruti Suzuki or you have Nestle and other big brands with you. So do you also provide some kind of training or internship also with these firms, or do you go for a program and after that they directly contact these companies?
So
Okay.
our focus is largely into, I would rather say, we work extensively with the corporates, wherein they use our psychometric assessment services to, recruit and select appropriate or good people for their organizations. So we
Okay.
extensively work for the corporate sector where they use our tests, and of course we also work with institutes where institutes are interested in developing their students to become better, employees for that matter.
Okay. So, what kind of students are basically the people with whom you are working? Are those people from technical background, or are they from managerial backgrounds, or they are coming from these normal backgrounds which are not neither technical nor
Sure.
management?
So here, it's for anybody for that matter. Of course, at this moment, our focus is not with school students. So that is not what our focus is at this moment. But we definitely work extensively with the, with the institutes who offer undergraduate or postgraduate programs. And so, irrespective of whichever field it is, in fact, we work with a lot of organizations who use our test for development of their IT, blue collar workforce as well. So we, for example, you just spoke about Suzuki, right? So that's where we work extensively for the assessment of the blue collar workforce, and not only for recruitment of blue collar workforce, but also for development of the blue collar workforce,
Okay.
right? So it could be used right from ITI diploma, or or engineering or management courses. So anything that is post 10 standard, irrespective of which field you are, because these are more like life skills, so they're not about technical skills. So, and these life skills or these employability skills, as you might want to call it, would be required at any stage of the career. So, for anybody who's aspiring to be a working professional or is a working professional already, could benefit from these tests.
Okay. That's very nice. So, okay, now let us go a little bit on the lighter side and ask you a few questions again from your job profile only. What kind of clientele you find the most difficult to deal with? whether they are from engineering background or whether they are from management background or whether they are from some other backgrounds.
Okay, so this again comes with a very, it's a difficult question because,
Yeah.
of course, so psychometry for that matter is still a very, I won't say it's not a new concept anymore, but,
Mhm.
so the word about psychometry is spreading like wildfire, especially post COVID-19 for that matter, right? Because earlier there were times that people could go in for interviews, you could spend some time with them, right? You
Mhm.
could meet them a couple of times and still make an assessment of what kind
Yeah.
of a person he is, right? But
Mhm.
post the breakout of COVID-19, meeting up people in person has become really very difficult, rather impossible, right? So just
Impossible.
by meeting somebody, yeah, impossible actually. So just by meeting somebody on a video based or a video call or or an e-meeting really cannot help you understand the person, right? How much
Yeah.
can you gather out of him in
Mhm.
about half an hour or 45 minutes or 1 hour, right? So that is where psychometric assessments has become really very popular. But still there are a lot of myths around psychometric assessments, right? So yes, coming to those questions where clientele do not have the sufficient knowledge of what psychometric assessments is, those are the ones wherein they are still a little challenging to explain. So then we really have to get down to what is the basic premise of psychometric assessments and why they are conducted, or how should you use it. That's
Yeah.
where I think the role of our organization and our team of psychologists comes into play, and we help them clear their
Okay.
doubts.